Hi everyone and welcome. In today's video, I will show you how to automate testing for your Power Apps using the Test Studio. But before we dive into the demo, what exactly is this Test Studio? The Microsoft Power Platform Test Studio is a built-in tool that empowers makers, testers, and developers to create, run, and manage automated testing. This ensuring your apps behave exactly as expected every time. Within the test studio, you can record user interactions and then later on convert them into steps, eliminating the need for external frameworks or complex coding. We won't want to be seeing complex coding during testing. So it supports the power effects expression that you all know, making it easy to write and maintain tests directly within your app environment. You can imagine whether you're validating your UI behavior, whether you're testing logic or preparing for deployment, your test studio helps you streamline quality assurance with code simplicity and high impact results. Why should you use the test studio, for example? Why? Can you tell me? Here are some key reasons to use your Microsoft Power Platform Test Studio when testing your applications. The one I usually consider the most important is the possibility to automate repetitive test scenarios. These will help you save time and reduce your manual effort. And also, to maintain your app quality throughout updates and deployments. We know nowadays you're building apps that really grow and expand. And most of the time, you try to do an end-to-end testing all the time, which is time consuming. And lastly, which is the most interesting part, is the possibility of integrating your CI/CD workflow, that is your continuous integration and continuous deployment workflows, by embedding your tests into your DevOps pipelines, or even better still, triggering them through your Power Automate flow. So with your test studio, you bring speed, you bring reliability and confidence to your application development lifecycle, all without needing to write complex coding. And here it is. It's demo times, guys. Let's talk in and let's move to action. So before going into our test scenario, let us look at what our app looks like. So we have a simple app here whereby we have two types of users. Let me just change the language of the app back to English. We have a normal user, which can consult a list of countries and their country codes. And we have the administrator, which is able to edit, modify, and delete. So if I log in as a normal user, provide my password, and then I validate, I will see that I'm able to see all the countries. And if I select a country, I can only consult, I can edit, and there is no button by which I can modify or add a new country. So I'm going to go back to the home page, and I'm going to sign in now as an administrator, and you're going to see that it's going to be a little bit more different. I put in my password, I click sign in, and then if you look closely, you're going to see that we have an add icon just at the footer, giving us the possibility, obviously, to add a different country. For example, can add that, provide a country code, and then I validate. This adds my country directly to the list of countries that we have here. And I'm also able to do what, to modify or even delete any of the countries that already exist. So it's pretty simple, just country consultation, and then you have two various users that have two different access. And what we are trying to automate in this case is to test for the user access, because in the future our app is going to evolve and we will not want to come back and be doing a manual testing, like logging in as user A and user B and trying to see if they have access or not. To do this, I'm going to go back to my Power App Studio, that is in edit mode of our application. Then go to the three buttons at the bottom and then take Advanced Tools. Then click on Open Test. This is going to take us to our test studio. In our test studio, you need to take note of certain components. One of the first, or the first component, is your suite. Your test can have as many suite as possible. Consider your suite here like a particular functionality of the application that you want to test. Then you have the cases. Each suite can also have as many cases as possible. Consider your case as a particular use case scenario within the functionality that you also want to test. In our case, we have like two cases that we're going to test. That is the admin access and the normal user access. Then each case is made up of steps. Look to my right here, you're going to see that we have certain steps. We have the order of the steps, which is the order in which the steps are going to take place. You give in a short description of your step. You have the screen where that particular element or component is being found, and then you have the action. This is where you include your Power Effects function, and finally you have the status when the case is running. So we're going to rename the suite. Our suite here is going to be access control. Then you can give it a description if you want. I can just leave it like that. Then I'm going to take my first case. My first case is going to be normal user access. So I'm going to be testing for a normal user access of our application. Now, you can go ahead and start editing the functions or the various steps manually and putting the function, but the best and the fastest way to do it is to use the record. So I'm going to click directly on record. This is going to allow us to simulate these users' action. And by that, we are going to get recorded. That means all the steps and action we perform on our application is going to be recorded, and we will be able to find all of those to the left. So just be observing what's going to be happening at the left side of this. So I'm going to log in as a normal user. Obviously, I put my name, provide my password. You're going to see that the names and the password are being logged in to the left. First step, set the username. Second, the password. Next, obviously, is clicking the sign in button, which takes us to the page. So for this test, we are okay. We're only going to verify if the user can actually see that plus icon here. If the user cannot see the plus icon, it means that this test case is validated. But if you can see, then the test needs to actually fail. You could go ahead, maybe like clicking or selecting an icon, then trying to check if there's a delete button or the save button that we have normally for admin users. But we are not going to do that. We're going to keep it simple. We are done testing, and then I'm going to click on validate. That is done. This is now going to bring back our various steps to our test studio to that particular case. Now you can go ahead and try to modify the order, etc. I'll not be needing this last step. We just use it for test. But what I'm going to do is that I'm going to just edit, showing you that you can edit. I'll say a test of truth, which is to determine that this case is actually valid or not if this step works. Now, on my country, what I'm going to use, there's a function called assert, which tests if something is true. And as I said earlier, what we're going to be testing is the visibility of the plus icon. So I call my assert function, then I'm going to call the label. You can actually get your label back in the App Studio. And then if you select that, the component is going to give you that's the name. That's what I'm going to use, ICN add. So I'm going to test if ICN is going to pop up exactly. Dot visible, meaning the visibility property, meaning if this is visible, if this is not visible, sorry, then my case is valid. But if I should just lock this, given that the assert functionality will be valid only if the value you pass in is true. But if I validate now, it's not going to work. So for this to work with the assert functionality, I'm going to just put a question mark here, and we are good to go, meaning that it's going to be false, and then our question mark is going to turn it to true to validate our case scenario. So I can easily play, which is going to save and publish as well. Once the publishing is done, it's going to replay our application and then go through the various steps that we just mentioned. Okay, it takes us back to our play mode. You see now we're in play mode. As you can see here, we're in play mode. It's going to start. The first thing is going to check there's a function on test case start. What happens? Actually, nothing happens. Once you launch our application, it fills in username, password, clicks on sign in, and then finally it's going to do the test of truth. which is going to tell us, okay, is it valid? Is the icon visible or not? Obviously, our icon is not visible, so it's going to validate, and that's it, done without us intervening at any time, meaning that if your application evolves tomorrow, you rerun your test to be sure that the access has not been messed up, and then you get your test result. Let's go back to our test studios. I'm going to click on done, and we're going to do the same thing for the second user. So instead of repeating the same steps, what I can do is just to, because what's going to change is actually the visibility of that icon. That's what we're using to test if it's a normal user access or admin access. So I can just duplicate this by doing a copy and obviously paste. Just do a copy and paste to have the same records. So this gives me user. We're just going to modify and say normal user, sorry, here, give you admin access. I'm going to transpose this one to admin access. It should perform the same scenarios, etc. Except for the last case. Our last case, this has to be visible. So there's no need of us having the minus sign, the question mark, sorry. So I'll remove that. And there we good to go. Just update this and insert put admin so that we have our admin user access. Okay, there we go. Launches our app. Is going to start with our first test case. Yes, signs in as a normal user. Then it's going to check for a test of truth. Is it valid? If it's valid, then it's going to move to the next case scenario. Now, oops, we have an issue. Our test case has failed at user input, which is for our admin access. They say the function can only be invoked for controls in the current screen. This has to bring your attention to the fact that your test controls are like they are successive, meaning that wherever this one ends, the next case is going to continue from there. But our next case has to instead restart from the home screen, meaning that we are supposed to add a navigation step at the end of the first case scenario. That's something you can do. But what is recommended is for you to modify this property on the suite. So if I select my suite, for example, your suite has different properties that you can invoke, you know. So on your suite, you take view, it's going to show you on test case start what happens on a test case start. Because within each suite, you can have multiple cases. So what we're going to say is that I can say on each test case card, you should navigate through the home screen. You see, this now enables that every time there's a particular test case, I go back to the home screen and I restart all over again. Either you do this and then you can also provide on test case end. I could still do this and say that when a test case ends, because I know that the first test case is going to start from the home screen, I can see put this same navigation here and you can determine what happens, especially when it comes to logging the various test cases. This is going to be on another tutorial. I'm going to show you how you can record all the test cases that be carried out, the ones that have failed, the reason why it was failed into a database. I'm going to make a separate video for that. For now, just know that you can manipulate the various starting points of the various test cases that you have within a suite if you don't want to do that directly within the steps, which is going to be some sort of redundant, especially when you have many cases. You can do that directly on the functions available on your test suite. So in this case, we're just going to say that it should navigate to the home page at each test suite. So I'm going to remove this one. And we're just going to leave on test case complete, meaning that when the first one is complete, it moves to the second one by starting on the home screen. I place on the control, that is the test suite, and I click play, which is obviously going to publish and then launch our application. Okay, launches our application, the first app, meaning our first case, normal user access is going to be tested. And then you're going to see that this time around, our second case is also going to be tested without any issues. Okay, username, password, obviously sign in. Then it validates our test of truth. Is the button visible? Obviously, our button is not visible, so everything's supposed to work. It goes now to the second step, admin. Okay, you see that it navigated to the home screen. Then it's going to check for our test of truth. Is it worthy? Our test of truth is what? Correct. And then that's it. All of our test cases have been validated. So we have everything done and we are good to go. That's it for our demo. Before I let you go, here are some key best practices to keep in mind when automating your app tests. Keep your test scenarios precise and well named. For meaningful names make it easier to understand and maintain your test suites. Update your tests as your app evolves. That is, keep them aligned with new features or UI changes to ensure reliability. And do not forget, when necessary, always integrate into your various CI/CD workflows your automated tests. By following these principles, you build smarter, more resilient tests that scale with your application. Hope you enjoy this. Please do not forget to share, like, and subscribe for more videos and more amazing tutorials. Thank you.